next 2 hours, and basically we'll be talking about the Champions League playoff. We already have how it's going to happen, and I'll be explaining the Champions League playoff and what we should be expecting in the Champions League playoff. So I'll be explaining that in this live stream. My name is Richard Nwanje. Of course, we do a lot of stuffs here. Talk about on YouTube, where we just make sure we cover the big things that's happening in the world of sports. And definitely, I'm here with you to make sure I give you all those big, big updates. And right now, we are basically going to focus on the Champions League. And the Champions League playoff draws just dropped off some few minutes ago, and we'll take our time to analyze what we should be expecting in the Champions League, playoffs. From the draws, who and who is playing against themselves. We'll analyze all those big issues as it concerns the Champions League. So welcome to the show. Welcome wherever you're joining us from. Welcome. And in some few minutes time, we'll just dive into it. Let's get maybe one or two persons to join us live. Then we will also then dive into it and analyze from different sides what we should be expecting the Champions League. This particularly in terms of the playoffs, what should we be expecting in the playoffs? That's what we're going to analyze very, very soon. While we wait for you just to join us live, yeah, let's get some other person to join us live. Then we'll then start analyzing and breaking that down for you to make sure that you can follow up. What we should be expecting in the Champions League draw. We'll analyze and then break it down. So get ready for the big analysis as it concerns the Champions League. All right, so we'll do that analysis. Let me know where you're joining us from. If you join us, let me know where you're joining us from and why we do the analysis, and and follow up based based on how it's going. All right, let's go straight into it. Now, it's going to be a very, very interesting one in the Champions League this season. We're another Champions League, and don't forget, if you missed the first video we spoke about the EPL. I think that was some few minutes ago. We analyzed our 4 games. So on this live stream, we will also analyze the full games we'll be expecting the EPL this tomorrow, March the 24th. So we'll analyze the whole full games in the EPL this weekend. But first of all, we'll focus on the Champions League draw. Right now, the Champions League playoff draws, is out, and many have been asking how is it going to happen, and I'll break it down for you so you can understand how the playoff draws for the Champions League are going to play out and how it's going to be arranged, who and who is going to play against themselves. So we'll analyze that one. That was the first thing we'll analyze and maybe break it down so you could understand it very, very well. So welcome, if you're joining us on the first time live. My name is Richard Nwanje. I'm a sports, of course, analyst, sport journalist, a created CAF journalist, and a created FIFA journalist, and analyzing the big sporting stories around the world. And we'll be having this live in the morning, evening, full of those big stories. So thank you for joining me, wherever you're joining me from. Don't forget to hit the like button if you hit to subscribe, so you will not miss any part of it. All right, so we're trying to analyze the Champions League and playoff draws, which of course is going to be very, very interesting. We already have the build up to the finals. You could start imagining how the finals of the Champions League would be this particular season. But basically, right now, we just focus on the Champions League, the Champions League and playoff draws. Then maybe later on, we could then break it down. What we'll be expecting building up to the final. So the Champions League, you could now start picturing what the Champions League final would be like. The picture's already clear in our eyes because we've already seen how things have started to arrange themselves, bit by bit, building up to the Champions League, finals. I think the playoffs are going to be very interesting, and basically because of the way it has been arranged. Now let's look at the playoffs. What should we be expecting the playoff? Stay with us, get the like buttons, subscribe yet to subscribe. Let's talk together. Tell us where you're watching us from, as we talk about the Champions League playoff. Now, the Champions League playoff, of course, UEFA Champions League playoff, after we had a series of matches that took place over the midweek. Now let's look at it now. We had different. Maybe I should break this down before I talk about it. Now, don't forget that the top 8 on the table automatically qualified for the Champions League. That means the top 8 are qualified for the round of 16 football, and we had those from 9th position down to 24th position being arranged in a kind of playoffs. So now those in the first top of the from ninth position, down, 2 15s in one side, and those from 16 down to 24 on that side. So it was a arranged, how will I explain it, arranged stuff so they play against themselves. So let's look at the playoff. The first game will be the Monaco, and okay, let's look at the playoff. It will happen on the first leg will be on the 17th to the 18th of February. Second leg will be on the 24th to 25th of February. So that is when we'll have the first leg, and we'll have the second leg. Now, those who were on the top, let's talk about the top part of the table, will play against those at from the 17th. I think from the 17th down, they'll play against them. So those from the 9th to the 16th will play against themselves. 17th down will play. Those from the 9th down to 16, and one side will play against those from 17 down to 24. So we'll definitely will break this down and tell you who and who is playing. So now the first leg will play on the 17th to 18th of February. That is like possibly about 2 weeks from now, 17 days from now, we'll have that first playoff. The second leg will be from the 24th to the 25th of February. And that's going to be it. Now let's look at it. Now, the first playoff we'll have will be the game, one of the playoff will be the game between Monaco and PSG. Now, this will be a very, very tough playoff game. And it will be very interesting to know what would happen when we see Monaco go against PSG, because many will be expecting the Monaco team to come with their A game against PSG. PSG are the defending champions, and we must also agree that PSG have been very, very disappointing in this particular Champions League season. Now, many had expected PSG to come with a very, very interesting kind of football, give us this great football. Let us see PSG that the current champions, but PSG did not give us that big, big top up. If you look at the top 8 that have moved to the round of 16, you agree with me easily that the top 8 are basically from, we have about most of the club from the EPL. So the PSG team are actually like a one-season wonder, and they'll go at the playoff game against Monaco. It'll be a tough game because many will agree that these are two clubs that we have seen play against themselves before now. So are PSG and Monaco. They are not new to playing against themselves. So it will be one of those games that we have seen these two guys play against games. So Monaco, PSG, right? Who will come out top? The first leg will be on the 17th, and the second leg will be on the 24th and the 25th. Don't forget to get a like, subscribe if you subscribe, and tell me what you think as the live still goes on, as we're on the live video still. So that will be the first game. Now we also have Galatasaray and Juventus. Now let's break down the Galatasaray team. Galatasaray team are moving to the playoff again in the Champions League, and Galatasaray team, of course, a trial of a rebuild. Now the Galatasaray team themselves are having one of some of the big names who have done well in the EPL, done well in other leagues coming down to their side. Won't forget the likes of Icardi in the Galatasaray team. Won't forget the likes of Victor Osimhen, Galatasaray team. Won't forget the likes of Leroy Sané, the former Man City man, former Bayern man in their team. Won't forget Gundogan also in the team. So definitely you will agree with me that the Galatasaray team is more of that, trying to build a very strong team. And they lost their last game in the Champions League where they played against Man City, where they lost that particular game. They could not score any goal. Now they'll have their playoff game against the Juventus. Now Juventus, we know Juventus very well, the Italian giants. When it comes to great football, we all know what Juventus can definitely bring to the table. Now Juventus understand how to win games. Now it's very fair to say the Juventus team go against Galatasaray team. Now the first game will happen as Galatasaray home, and before they then go and play the second leg of that particular game, and it'll be a tough one to call between Juventus and Galatasaray. But I think basically looking at it, Juventus team have upper hand, and some will talk about when it comes to the experience Juventus have in the Champions League. Many would agree that Juventus have a lot of experience when it has to do with the Champions League, and with that kind of experience, the Juventus team can easily pull through and get this done. So these are the basic things we should expect from that particular game between call it Galatasaray and Juventus. I see Juventus coming out of this. I see them coming out of this. I don't know what you think. I see Juventus coming out of this, and it's going to be a tough one. But let's see what happens. Now let's move and talk about that game. We would have the game between Dortmund and we have Benfica and Real Madrid. Now many will call this the big one because this is going to be a replay of what we saw that happened the last time in the round of 16. No, sorry, happened in the last group game last good game. Now let's not forget that Benfica has Mourinho. Mourinho coached Real Madrid before now, so we're having a replay of the last game, which we called the 2 days ago. We called that game. Called the game. That game was the best game we had in the Champions League this season. Now we're having a replay of that particular game. Where these two guys will go against themselves. They go Benfica and Real Madrid. But this time around, it's going to be a two-legged game. That means they will play one in Portugal, and the second would happen, of course, in Spain. So the Benfica team going against Real Madrid, no doubt, would be a very, very tough game. And many believe that this is the second time for Benfica to explain to and tell us what would happen. Can they defeat Real Madrid this time around? And I'll talk about the Benfica Real Madrid game. Now, it has not happened in years that Real Madrid, king of the Champions League, drop out of the Champions League in the round of 16. They always have a way of moving through. Now this is even the playoffs, because don't forget, if you have the playoff, you don't have the round of 16 football. So talking about them dropping out in the playoffs will be difficult. Now the Benfica team is with a man called Mourinho, a very, very good coach, and Mourinho understands how to go in terms of this kind of waters and how to overcome this thing. So for many will believe that the Benfica team understands the Real Madrid team. But for the sake of history, many will also argue that the Real Madrid team are really even shocked that they are doing the playoffs. But that's football. And don't forget that Real Madrid, in the last 10 to 8 seasons of the Champions League, have either played in the semi-finals or in the finals of the Champions League. So them having to play this playoff, history-wise, they would defeat Benfica. But Benfica, with Mourinho understanding what it means, getting the necessary results, it will be a very, very tough game. And let's see what happens between Benfica and talk about Real Madrid. All right, still looking at what we should be expecting in the Champions League playoffs. The next game is Dortmund and Atalanta going against themselves. Dortmund, a very experienced team from the Bundesliga, going against another very experienced team from the Spanish side. Atalanta will all go back to when they did very, very well some few seasons ago in the Europa League, win the Europa League, and then Bayern Leverkusen's unbeaten record. Now we have them in the Champions League this season. They are qualified for the playoff. They're going against a Dortmund team. Dortmund played 2 seasons ago in the Champions League final, which definitely means that Dortmund, when it comes to great football, Dortmund have all it takes, to punish anybody who looks down on them. So I think basically looking at the Dortmund team, you believe Dortmund team have all it also takes to play against the Atlanta team. That will also be hard to call. Now we'll have Quaba going against Newcastle. Now Newcastle is the only team from the EPL that did not qualify for the round of 16 automatically. Now looking at what we should be expecting in this particular game, I think Newcastle should have the upper hand in that game. Now Club Brugge going against Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid still sticking to their kind of defensive football going against Club Brugge, and many would favor Atletico Madrid moving to the next round. But basically we wait to see what would happen around that. Now Bodo Glimt will go against Inter Milan. That will be a very, very tough one. Now Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan is definitely going to be a very tough game to see what would happen between these two clubs. But Inter Milan, looking at their history in the Champions League, played the semi-finals of Champions League the semi-finals, playing the finals of Champions League last season, lost to PSG. I'm not shocker. Inter Milan playing in the playoffs. Many expect them to be at least in the round of 16 football. They are playing the playoffs, and I think Inter Milan, history-wise, should be able to qualify and beat Bodo Glimt to be part of the round of 16. I have Olympiacos going against Bayern Leverkusen on that very, very tough game, which will see those giants from Greece going against a great team from Germany to be a very tough but very, very crucial game. And let's see what will happen. Now let's break this down a bit and make it more interesting. Now we already know what's going to happen, because those guys having the playoff matches already know who they might play against. Before I continue, don't forget this is the Richard Nwaje's YouTube channel. If you're joining for the first time, my name is Richard Nwaje. I'm a CAF accredited journalist in Nigeria, also a FIFA accredited journalist. Don't forget to get the like button. If you get to subscribe, get notification button. We'll always have this live videos tomorrow. We'll have a watch along for the EPL games, and make sure you get the live reaction from fans around here in Nigeria. So get the notification buttons. So whenever we are live, we are live, so you will not miss anything that concerns talk about football and of course sports in general. Let's go back and let's continue where we stopped. Get the like button. You could also gift me. Come on, gift me. That's allowed also if you can. Let's enjoy ourselves together right here. Let's move basically and tell me where you're watching me from. And Booty 90 say hi, and of course let's know where you're watching for. Get a like button, subscribe, get a notification button, like, and tell me where you're watching from. All right, let's move and talk about something very special around the fact that we'll have a situation where those guys in those guys like those guys already that played didn't having to play the playoffs already have an idea of who they definitely will play in the round of round of 16. Now PSG and Monaco, the winner of that particular game will either play Barcelona or Chelsea. So it's already programmed that they might play any of these particular teams. Wait for that draw to know who they will play. Now, Juventus and Galatasaray might play either Liverpool or Tottenham. Benfica, Real Madrid might play either Sporting or Man City. Dortmund, Atlanta might play either Arsenal or Arsenal or Bayern, and Quebec or Newcastle will play that Chelsea or Barcelona. Club Brugge, Atletico Madrid will play that Inter, Tottenham or Liverpool, while Bodo Glimt and Inter will play either Man City or Sporting. Olympiacos and Bayern Leverkusen will play that Bayern or I think Arsenal. So it's already been programmed, and so you could now know who and where you will play. Now after the playoffs, we'll have another draw, and with that particular draw, we can be able to now know who and where and who will play the round of 16. But that is the playoffs for us. These are the teams that will be in the playoffs and will play against them. So Monaco, PSG, Galatasaray against Juventus, Benfica will go against Real Madrid. Every player what we saw some few days ago. We'll have Dortmund go against Atlanta. We have Quebec go against Newcastle. While Club Brugge go against Atletico Madrid, but go against Inter, Olympiacos go against talk about Bayern Leverkusen. So these are how it's going to play out in the Champions League. Call it playoffs. All right, now let's move from that a bit and let's see that we could dive into the EPL. And don't forget that the first leg is on the 17th to the 18th. Second leg is 24th to 25th. Now let's dive into the EPL and let's analyze the big games of the weekend. Now, if you missed the first video, it's already there. Go there. Sorry, if you missed the first video, go there and watch it. Basically, the first video we spoke about the games between Arsenal and I'll talk about them, and we'll talk about the whole 10 games in the EPL, what we should be expecting, and if we still have time, we'll dive into also into the La Liga, and analyze the La Liga for the week. And when it's analyzing them, we are giving the predictions. What do you think would happen? Now the predictions are strictly based on facts on ground, not based on the facts on ground. We look at the predictions, what these teams would have. We look at the history of the teams. We look at what the teams have done. We look at what they have brought to the table and what would happen. So that's what we're going to analyze. So right now, let's do the analysis of let's analyze the EPL games. Already doing that already, and let's follow up on that as fast as we can. So you can get your bios and papers while we analyze the EPL games. So before that, let me open the window before it hits, and all right. Sorry, I'm back. So let's analyze the EPL games for the week. Now, interesting EPL games would have no doubt in different stadia around Europe, and the question will be what would happen in those games. Now let's analyze and break down those different games in different stadia around Europe. What would you be expecting from those games? All right. Earlier, the other video we spoke about Arsenal, what Arsenal should be giving those. If you just joined us, we already spoken about the Champions League, talk about the whole groups and everything. And right now, we're going to talk about what we're talking about. We're talking about the EPL games for this weekend and what we should be expecting in the EPL games this weekend. Now, tell me where you're watching me from. What's your expectation for the games this weekend? What should you be expecting? You know, which team do you think would fly high? Which team do you think would do very, very well in the EPL this weekend? So, of course, join the conversation. Tell me where. But let's look at the breakdown. Let's analyze from the different sides. Talk about the different games. What we should be expecting from the EPL. I hope we can have this for the next 1 hour or maybe 2 hours, and maybe if we have more time, we'll visit the La Liga to analyze from the La Liga side also too. But right now, currently, we're talking about the EPL, and you know, in the first video we spoke about a club like Chelsea, what Chelsea will expect against West Ham, and basically in that game I told everybody that Chelsea would definitely tomorrow playing against West Ham would be a very tough one for Chelsea. However, I believe Chelsea are strong right now when it comes to playing football, you know, where Chelsea are coming with their A game and everything. But I also have to stress the fact that playing against West Ham is a London derby, and playing against our London neighbours would always be a very tough game. So you won't expect us to be easy ride for Chelsea tomorrow. So I had said in that particular game, we should be expecting the Chelsea team to at least win, but a slim margin. So Chelsea to win maybe 2-1, 1-0. That's why I think Chelsea would not win those kind of big margin. I think a 2-0 win for Chelsea, 1-0 win for Chelsea will definitely be okay for the Blues. Talk about tomorrow when they will play around 6:30. So that's the game around 6:30 tomorrow. I think not much of that. I spoke about Leeds Arsenal. I believe Arsenal will beat Leeds tomorrow. Now Arsenal are in form. Arsenal have all the great players on their side right now. So going against Leeds United, definitely we expect the Arsenal team to definitely show that seriousness, that big football, and I see Arsenal winning that particular match against Leeds United. So Arsenal to beat Leeds United. Leeds United are struggling, although in terms of fitness, the Arsenal team are better than them. Arsenal will not lose 2 games back to back in the EPL. They lost against Man U on Sunday, so I don't see Arsenal losing back to back. They won in the Champions League, so Arsenal will definitely win against Leeds United. Brighton, Everton. I spoke about the fact that, you know, to be a very tough game. I say Brighton and Everton putting up a draw. And let's talk about the Liverpool and Newcastle game. Liverpool fans, come closer. Let's talk about your match. What should we be expecting from the Liverpool game tomorrow? All right, if you're joining for the first time, my name is Richard Onwaje. Hope and make sure you have subscribed. Get notification button so you'll not miss anything. Once we are live like this, you can always join us and, you know, analyze the games, understand what you'll be expecting. Trust me, I know the game and I know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about this very interesting game, Liverpool-Newcastle. It's a very tough game to Liverpool and Newcastle tomorrow. Can Liverpool beat Newcastle? That will be the question men will be asking. That game will be 9 p.m. Nigerian time, and it'll be a very, very interesting, very, very tough game. What should we be expecting from Liverpool when they will go against Newcastle? But let's look at how it is. Let's see where we can break this down, analyze what we should be expecting from Liverpool. Liverpool, are they really, really fit? You know, Okay. We'll talk about Man U very shortly. I think let's take this comment. African will never unite, and Fulham will be defending. Let's see United attack for once. Okay, I think we'll talk about that particular game around, you know, Man U, because we'll look back at, I think African won't unite. Can you remember when, I think the last game when we had Fulham and Man U coming against Fulham defeating Man U, but some also agree that things have really, really changed. So let's see what happens. And let's follow up on that. Okay, let's talk about Liverpool and Newcastle. Now that'll be a very, very tough game. Liverpool are not just at their best. Let's be sincere with ourselves. Liverpool have come up with a very, very surprising and shocking result. And every week when Liverpool fans watch their team, one short thing Liverpool fans keep saying is that will this be the last time Slot would coach this club? Now, some would believe that Slot is the luckiest coach in the EPL, because Slot remaining as the coach of the particular team is a big shock, because nobody expected Slot to remain up to this period, but Slot is still coaching, still coaching Liverpool. Now, let's look at Liverpool's performance and win against the Newcastle team. You know, and some would say won their last game, the Champions League, but let's not forget Liverpool lost against Bournemouth 3-2. We saw a shaky Virgil van Dijk. Van Dijk is not at his best right now, and without sentiment, you would agree with me that this is not Virgil van Dijk we used to know, because Virgil van Dijk is not the way he used to be, where Virgil van Dijk was strong defender. Now, Liverpool have find themselves struggling in the EPL. Yes, strong in the EPL, but doing well at least in the Champions League. Now, this have been the worry of many Liverpool fans. Now, if you look at Liverpool this year in the EPL, Liverpool this year in the EPL, Liverpool have not won any game in the EPL this year. It sounds shocking. Yes, Liverpool have not won any game in the EPL this year, which shows that Liverpool are really, really struggling. And someone asked the question, they are playing at Anfield. Are they not meant to have the whole, the whole stuff coming in from them? But let's not lie to ourselves. Liverpool playing Anfield does not make any difference, basically. We've seen Liverpool team that have played in Anfield and Liverpool team have lost. 4 seasons ago, when we were playing Anfield, you were talking about the fact that nobody can beat Liverpool in Anfield. They're going against Newcastle. What is Newcastle's performance of recent? How good is Newcastle? Can Newcastle be able, to stop these guys? These are the big questions you ask ourselves. Can Newcastle stop these guys? But let's look at Newcastle. Newcastle have sold players, but still did not, really, really go down as many would have expected Newcastle to go. Last game against PSG in the Champions League, they've won it. The loss against Aston Villa at St James's Park, it got many people talking and asking questions around the fact that where this particular Newcastle team can really stand the pressure of time. The loss against Villa, the last game, the EPL, the one PSV in the Champions League, play 0-0 against Wolves, lost against City in the EFL Cup, and look at Newcastle team beat Leeds United. Leeds United are struggling. They won against Crystal Palace, and still defeated Burnley. That was last year. But looking at them this year, the Newcastle team, the EPL this year, are yet to pick up a win. So just like how the Liverpool team are struggling, it's same thing with them. But basically, let's look at the table, EPL table. That will help us be able to explain what we should be expecting from Newcastle and Liverpool tomorrow. Now, Newcastle sits in the 9th position in the EPL table, while Liverpool sit in the 6th position, so 6 against 9 going against the top. Liverpool have won 10 games, Newcastle have won 9 games, Liverpool have drawn 6 games, Newcastle have drawn 6 games, they've lost 8 games, Liverpool have lost 7 games, Newcastle have lost 8 games, while Liverpool have lost 7 games. So it's like people who are of same kind of spirits playing against themselves. Liverpool have 36 points, Newcastle have 33 points. I mean, a win for Liverpool, Newcastle tomorrow, Newcastle can go at least same points with Liverpool. So that is why everything is at stake in that particular game tomorrow between these two guys. Everything is at stake between both of them. Anybody can be able to pull out that result. Now, can Liverpool beat Newcastle? A tough one. I think basically Liverpool might sneak away with a win against Newcastle. What do you think? Liverpool maybe can just push that win, maybe not convincingly, but Liverpool can push that win. However, I might be the first to say this and record me from saying this. I strongly believe that if Liverpool don't win their game tomorrow, Slot will be sacked, because I will explain this to you. Liverpool losing their game against Newcastle can see them drop as far back to the 9th position in the EPL table, even as back as the 10th position. That's how bad where they are. They have 36 points, and Fulham has 34, Brentford has 33, Newcastle have 33 points. So they are in a very, very fragile position, which means if they lose their game, it can be them going to the 9th position tomorrow. Now, the bosses in Liverpool won't allow that to happen. So if they lose against Newcastle, it might just be the last day of Slot as the coach of the team. So basically, looking at this game, I think, and I strongly would argue, that I would see a situation whereby the Newcastle team would come strong, but Liverpool would sneak away with a win. What do you think? Liverpool sneaking away with a win? Maybe 1-0, 2-1, but not convincing enough. Not convincing enough. Alright, let's see what would happen if you're just joining us. It's Richard Nwaje. Get the notification button, get the like button. Of course, you could also drop some stuffs for us there. We appreciate it. That will encourage us. And we're talking about the EPL games, and we're analyzing each game in the EPL and talking about what would happen, the predictions for each of those games. That's what we're talking about right now. Each of those games, we're talking about the Arsenal game, we're talking about the Chelsea game. If you're not joining us, you can still watch the video later. We're speaking about the Liverpool game just now, and now we're moving to other games that would happen in the EPL tomorrow. And also we have spoke about the Champions League playoff earlier. If you missed, we've spoken about that. Don't forget also we'll have the watch along tomorrow in one of those viewing centers around in Nigeria. So don't miss it. It'll be very interesting. You get a live, those live views from inside those viewing centers. We'll do that for the Chelsea and the Arsenal game, tomorrow. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one. And you see that also. And after that, we'll also come back later tomorrow evening and analyze the whole games we had. Yes, analyze those whole games. From I think that live stream will start later on tomorrow. But let's move and talk about other games in the EPL and what we should be expecting from those other games. And we've basically spoken about Liverpool and Newcastle just now, and let's move on. And let's what would happen in let's talk about what happened the game between Man U and Fulham. Okay, let's talk about Aston Villa Brentford before we talk about Man U Fulham. I think that would be one very, very interesting game. I want to talk about the Fulham game because Fulham and Man U, because it has always been a very tough one. I know an African Will Unite spoke briefly about what that game would come up with, and for me, basically, that game would be one of those very, very interesting matches, and I hope to get a very interesting one from that side. You know, but let's talk about Aston Villa's game and what will be expected for the Aston Villa's match tomorrow. Let's breeze into the Aston Villa's game. Aston Villa won their last game against Newcastle. And we're going against a Brentford team tomorrow. They will playing at the Villa Park. Unai Emery, very experienced coach. The Aston Villa team have shown serious character when it comes to great football. And when you look at the Aston Villa team, the most consistent team in the EPL in the last 3 seasons will be Aston Villa. They've been very, very consistent. No other team has been consistent with them the way they have been. Now, look at Aston Villa, the table of the EPL. You will know how good they are. Sit down number 3 in the EPL table, and they have competed like this in the last 3 seasons and pulling the strong one, playing the Champions League, and still have that strong bite. Now, it's a very important game for them tomorrow because if they win the game tomorrow against Brentford, Aston Villa can drop into 49 points and just be 1 point behind Arsenal. That's if Arsenal does not win their own game. So it's so important to see how this will play out. Very important how this will play out for Aston Villa. So Aston Villa needs a desperate win against a Brentford team. Well, I mean a very desperate win, and they need to win the Brentford match any way they can win that. For them, it must be a must win for them. Anyhow they can be able to win against Brentford, they must win Brentford. Now Brentford themselves, respect to the Brentford team. Brentford has picked up 33 points where they have played in 23 games. So we can't rule out Brentford. Brentford have won 10 games in the EPL this season. Brentford are having a great season already. So Brentford will be a very, very tough game to see. But looking at Aston Villa, I think Aston Villa are in a more better position to pick up a very, very good result. So I just believe that Aston Villa will still look for a way to push through, get that game, and make sure things will work well for them. So basically, that is what I think. It will be very interesting to see what would happen. All right, still talking about the Champions League, the EPL, and what we should be expecting tomorrow. And for many of us, will tell you something that the particular game between Aston Villa will be a very big match, and the Aston Villa fans will be watching to see what have happened in the game between Arsenal. Now, basically, what have happened in the Arsenal game will determine how they would play. Now, if Arsenal would have won their game, that would give them the courage to pull through. If Arsenal loses their game, they will also come in and see, okay, how can we be able to see how we can win the game? Aston Villa would win their game against Brentford. Maybe they will sneak with a win, some way, somehow, sneak and get a win. But that will be a sure banker, and I think nobody would look down on this particular team, the call I talk about Aston Villa. They are doing very well. Aston Villa sits in the top position on the EPL table, and for me, they would win. Now let's talk about Man U and Fulham. Yeah, I talk about let's talk about what we'll be expecting. African will never unite. I know that you're still with us, but let's talk about the game you want to hear about, the Fulham and Manchester United game, which definitely will be one very, very big, very, very big cracker. Many of us will expect a very interesting and a very, very intriguing game between these two guys. The last time they played against themselves, remember Kevin Bassey scored that very, very important, very important goal. And for many people, many will agree that this will now be one very, very interesting match. Very, very interesting match between these two giants come tomorrow. But let's look at Man U. Man U are fit. Man U are playing good football. Man U, and I will talk about Man U from three different perspectives. And the first part I talk about Man U from was the fact that Man U are not playing the Champions League. So when everybody were busy playing this weekend, this midweek, Man U players rested. So they had to rest. Same thing with Fulham. So they have rested. That is number one. Number two will be the fact that Manchester United, we have seen Man U play right now. We've not seen them play in this kind of form in a very long time. I'll explain Man U's form to you, so you understand why many people argue that Manchester United are in the best form right now. Now, Man U's form is so interesting because Manchester United are winning games. Now, back in the days when Man U even won games under ETH, won games under the former man, one interesting part of all those was the fact that maybe they won games, they were not really impressed. But this is the first time in a very long while where Man U are playing very, very good football. Man U have been able to score those goals. The midfield has been able to link well. They could defend well against Arsenal. We saw how Arteta tried everything. Still, Man U were able to still pull it through. So Man U are not just winning games. Man U are playing good, quality football. There is this synergy between players, and Carrick is getting it right. Now they are playing against Fulham. Fulham have this, not dying spirits. Fulham have shown that they can be able to get the result when they want the result. So Fulham is a team that you can never underestimate. Fulham will always pull it through, get the results. Against Man U, they've always had a way to either draw or beat Man U. So history-wise, Fulham have been very, very good against Manchester United. But let's look at critically analyze the Man U team. And let's look at the stakes from the table. What are the stakes? Why will this game be very, very important to Manchester United? I think that would be the very, very important point. Why will this game be very, very important to Man U? Now let's start basically and analyze it from the side of the fact that Manchester United are at the fourth position, a position they never got close to last season. So Man U are in the position where they know that they need to remain here. So for Man U is a big fight. Fulham are in the seventh position. Fulham understands that a win gets them closer to the top four position. So Fulham will love to play good football. I think Man U would win, and this is not trying to be sentimental. I think the worst result between Man U and Fulham would be a draw. I think that should be the worst result. I think Man U would either get a draw or get a win. That's what I think. But Man U would not lose against Fulham. Take that from me. Man U would not lose against Fulham. Man U would either get a draw or basically get a draw, or basically they would win the game. Win the game might not be with a big margin because Fulham are good defensively. Fulham knows how to attack. Fulham are good playing against the big teams. So it might not just be one of those games that maybe you score 4-0 or 5-0. Yes, Man U either would win this game or draw. If Man U win, Man U wins with like 2-1. If Man U draw, maybe 1-1 or something. But Man U would not lose against Fulham. I think the momentum is very, very high right now, and the players understand the fact that they must win every single game. So for me, Man U win or draw this particular game. Don't forget to get the like button. Tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe, get notification button, so you will not miss anything. We are talking about the EPL. Earlier we were talking about the Champions League. You could also watch the video later on to talk about the Champions League. I will talk about the playoffs, what we should be expecting from the playoffs, and right now, we are moving into other games that would happen. Talk about other games that would happen and what we should be expecting from those games. But basically right now we are still talking around the EPL. Now we just finished talking about the Man U game, and we are moving from the Man U game, and this time around let's talk Brighton Okay, let's talk. We're speaking Brighton already. We're about Brighton the first video. If you missed, now go and watch the video. Let's talk about Nottingham Forest Crystal Palace. That'll be on Sunday, 1st of February. Tough game, I guess, right? Nottingham Forest Crystal Palace will be a tough one to call. And Nottingham Forest did well the last game, the EPL. Taiwan is scoring for them, and after not scoring in 11 months. But Nottingham Forest team will definitely like to get the results well. Nottingham Forest are a bit struggling in the relegation waters. Nottingham Forest have won only 7 games. We know the story. Changing of what they call it, coaches have really affected them. So they have not really done well as many would have expected them to do. But let's look at this critically, Nottingham Forest team, and what we should be expecting from them. Now, they are going against Crystal Palace. The both teams are struggling in the relegation water. Nottingham Forest loses the game, they can drop in. West Ham are in the relegation side. They're playing against Chelsea. I forgot the fact that it's going to be always a tough game. So I think Crystal Palace, this game will be a very, very tough game. But I see Crystal Palace Nottingham Forest game a draw. Yes, I think it's hard to call. Nottingham Forest will either win that game or that will be a slim draw. That will be a draw. So Nottingham Forest either you pick a win from this game or they just have that draw. That's what I can say about that particular game. All right, let's move to another very interesting game, and that will be the game between Tottenham and Manchester City. A top game. The last game Tottenham played the EPL, the fans were booing the coach and asking the coach to leave. That's how bad it is right now for Tottenham. So they must look for how to win against City. Now, City are always that big giants, and you can never look down on City. City knows that they have the Arsenal team who can easily draw points, and a win for City would definitely pull closer to the top position of the EPL table. So for City would love to win the game, basically love to win the game. So for many of us, it will be a very tough one to call between these two clubs, but not something impossible in the sense that we believe City can still pull out that game against Tottenham. Tottenham are struggling. If Tottenham loses this game, the coach might lose his job. That's how serious it is, because he will be playing at home. But guess what? City would win. City would win the game, and Erling Haaland might not score because he's struggling to score, although he scored in the game, the Champions League. But City would win. That's why I think City would win. Definitely City would win this particular game. And a tough one, not big margin, but City would beat Tottenham at home. And the last game for match day 24 would be the Sunderland and Burnley game. And okay, someone said I should answer him. Okay, Man Brains, what question do you want? Talk to me. What do you want? Let me answer you very fast. What's the question, please? Mana Brain, what's your question? What question do you want so I can answer you? I am not supporting Manchester United. Stop supporting Man U. I'm not supporting Man U right now. I just put on Man U's jersey. Sorry, I had Man U's jersey on today. I had Man U's jersey. I'm talking about it, but I'm not supporting Man U. I just analyze the games the way it is. I might have the Man U jersey on. I might wear Chelsea jersey tomorrow, or not jersey tomorrow, but I'm not supporting Man U. I'm not analyzing it the way it is. And if you listen to my analysis on Manchester United and Fulham, you understand I was very, very firm. Man U are not just winning a game. Man U are playing football that is really interesting. Man U's midfield for the first time in a very long while is being able to blend well with that of blend down with their striking side. So for me, it's very, very interesting to see Man U play very, very good football. And anybody who watched Man U play against Arsenal would, without sentiment, agree that this is the best Man U we have seen in a very, very long while. So Man U going against Fulham, I believe I said earlier, Man U might win. If Man U does not win, Man U will draw, but Man U will not lose against Fulham. I don't see that happening. We'll have the live after tomorrow's game and we'll analyze that. So I don't see that happening. So okay, now let's talk about Mana and Brain talk about what do you think who gonna win the Premier League title this season? Okay, let's talk about the Premier League title this season. I think that's a very good question, and let's speak facts and let's speak the truth. Now, there is no team in the EPL. Can you hear me, Mana Baines? There is no team in the EPL right now that is as good as Arsenal. There is no team. Let's be sincere with ourselves. No team is as good as Arsenal. Arsenal are currently the best team, and I will explain it to you. Defensively, which combines the goalkeeping position and the defenders. Right? Although I will explain. I will explain. I will explain. I'm trying to break it down. Just listen to me very, very well. Don't not just listen. Let's without sentiment speak about this. When it comes to the defense in Arsenal, Arsenal have very good defense. Now, Arsenal have players who could come in from the bench, still play football, and these players will do well. Beyond other seasons, we spoke about Arsenal having good defense. They still have that very good defense. Forget the loss against Man U. They still have that good defense. They are coming into that same good defense. Arsenal have a very good midfield. We'll talk about Man City. It's step by step. I'm not talking about Arsenal right now. They have that good midfield. That is, I'm talking about Arsenal. Now, Arsenal had lacked something in few seasons, in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and that is why Arsenal seems to be the most complete team. Now, as it stands, Arsenal don't have injury worries. The players understand themselves. Arsenal bought a striker called Victor Gyökeres, who was meant to score all the goals for them. Of recent, a forgotten striker in Arsenal, in respect to him, Gabriel Jesus, is now scoring goals, which now has brought competition to the Arsenal striking side. Arsenal lacked that number 9. If you even follow me up for a very long while, I can break down Arsenal's problems. Arsenal had good wingers, players who could play through the wing and crossing the ball, but there was always nobody in the middle to score that goal. That was what they were missing. Now they have that missing tool there. So Arsenal, basically, this is the point you should get. Okay, let me just speak about the midfield again. They have Ebere Eze. Ebere Eze can play behind the striker. Ebere Eze can be able to play on the wing. So Ebere Eze is a very, very talented player. Very talented player. That's the truth. So Ebere Eze is very talented, very, very good. So Arsenal have everything. If Arsenal does not win the EPL this season, it will be very, very difficult because basically Arsenal don't have any excuse. Apart, all the teams that are competing for the top to the league this season, apart from City, Arsenal is the only team, maybe Aston Villa. Arsenal have a coach that have been there for a while who understands these particular players. So without sentiment, Arsenal have the complete team. Everything is working in Arsenal's favor. So if Arsenal loses the league this season, it's their fault because it's in their hands. That's my point. It's in their hands. Everything is in their hands. Someone spoke about City. City have a great team. Yes, they're injured. So City have injury crisis. Arsenal have players who can play the defense, players who can sit on the bench, who can still come in. On the midfield, look at Ebere Eze. Ebere Eze can play behind the striker. I can also play as your winger, which gives them players that are versatile. So no more depending on Martin Ortega to deliver. They have different players that can deliver. So Arsenal, looking at it without sentiment, have the complete team on paper. They are topping the league right now. Yes. The greatest guys who always have that, give them that pressure is Man City. Man City have a bit of some challenges. Someone spoke about the injuries. Yes. City have a bit of challenges. Imagine who could explain that Erin Highland will have been struggling to score for City. So these are peculiar challenges. Liverpool themselves have challenge. Liverpool are not at their best. The current champions are not at their best. We can say Liverpool are struggling. We cannot put Man U in the discussion for now. We can't put Man U in the discussion for now. Yes, Man U are very, very good. We can't put in the discussion for now. We have played, it's match day 24. We have 14 more games to play. So I don't want to put Man U in the discussion for now. So Arsenal is the only team in the EPL that are not going through any crisis. Any crisis. Quote me, any crisis. They are the only team right now going through any crisis. So Arsenal, if they bottle the league this season, it's their fault because everything is working for us in Arsenal's favor. Everything is working in Arsenal. They are topping the League One, players complete. So paper-wise, they have the players. The coach has been there for a while. He's not trying to test the waters. He understands the team. So everything is working for them. So I think Arsenal should just be that team who has everything complete. All right, let's look at some comments we have here. Okay. Membrane spoke about City. Okay, actually, but Arsenal have a big cost. That's the point. The point now will be if Arsenal would lose it. The truth was that the truth I explained. I just explained. Other seasons, Arsenal had excuses. Oh, we didn't have a striker. Oh, last season they didn't have talk about they didn't have maybe someone to score. Yes, it happens. But this particular season, they have who to score. So if you have who to score, what will now be your excuse? Injury crisis, you have injury, you still have players on the bench who can come through. So for me and many people would agree that the Arsenal team has no excuse. Teams like Chelsea would have come and beat that big boost, that big blow. Chelsea having their own crisis too. Changing the coach, trying to get things back. But let's talk about Chelsea. What is Chelsea's? What club do I support? I support every club. I don't support Man. I support every single club. I just try to always speak good football, talk good football. Let's just always talk about good football, whether it is Man U, Arsenal, Chelsea. I always want to be, on that playing term. We'll talk about good football. So I can, I don't want to talk about anything, but let's talk about Chelsea right now. Chelsea's chances and Chelsea's issues. I think Chelsea was one team that came to EPL this season with complete players. Chelsea came with complete players this season, and with Chelsea coming with complete players this season, many expect Chelsea to get the results. I think Chelsea's only problem, first of all, was their defense, and I think I'm talking to Eduardo. I hope you're still there. You say you support Chelsea. Let's go Chelsea. I think their problem was their defense, and I've always spoke around any team that have gone to win the EPL or any team that has stood out to win the league. One very, very important factor have always been the ability to always have two known central defenders. Let's use the same central defenders. That means for you to do well in the league like the EPL, you must have known central defenders. Because, when you're weak defensively, it will show up. So you must have that two central defenders or that central defender who can be able to understand themselves and build defensively. Chelsea found themselves in a position where they were changing defenders. They had no permanent central defenders. Tosin will make a mistake today, they will change, they will use Chaliba. So Chelsea had that defensive error, and I think that's where the real cost came in this particular season, from a defensive issue. Because if you must compete to win the league, you must be good defensively. You cannot win the league without being good defensively. That's just the truth. I think that's where Chelsea's issues stand up. They changed the coach, they are coming up. Chelsea sincerely were meant to be major contenders for the league this particular season. And from them not doing well is something I cannot basically explain. I think instead from the, when you buy players, for the players to understand themselves and everything, it became a big issue. When your team was conceding goals, when your team was supposed to keep clean sheets, that became a big issue. So all this had a way of affecting the Chelsea team. But I think Chelsea are now bouncing back. Now let's answer some questions. I think drop those questions, answer those questions together. Mana Ben said, who is the GOAT, bro? I think the greatest of all time between Messi and Ronaldo. Very, very tough question that many people love to ask. Who is the greatest of all time between Messi and Ronaldo? And I don't like talking about the Messi and Ronaldo's discussion. For me, basically, I will talk about the fact that whether it's Messi, whether it's Ronaldo, I'm a fan of the two players. They are two great players, players who would definitely play in different roles and would get things right. But in the GOAT debates right now, and I'm just trying to be very, 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 very realistic. In the GOAT debates right now, the only reason why one player is above on that player is because of one thing. And I will explain that to you. If you want to say about how good and how the contribution they give, beautiful. Messi contributes. Messi can do all those, play from behind, give all those passes. Messi can score goals for you. And one of the reasons why I love the GOAT debates, the Messi Ronaldo debates, is because some of us who have played football for a very long time understand the fact that for the very, very first time before now, okay, let me break this down. I think on radio where I work, I've always said it several times. Now let me break this down. Before the Messi and Ronaldo's era, we had what we call striker, your number 9, who just scores the goal. Now, the Messi Ronaldo era brought in a new future into the game, which became the forward. Because at that particular time, we saw players who play, Ronaldo, for example, who play at the wing, come in to score goals. Messi, who played as an attacking midfielder, also was able to score goals. So he brought in that idea of a forward. And for the first time in football history, many were expecting a winger to score more goals, and the worst striker was almost left the football scenario where everybody who plays in the attacking, mix was called a forward, and you were expected to score a goal. Now, the whole GOAT debate is one of those debates that I believe that these two guys are good. But the only reason why Messi would be ahead of Ronaldo right now would be the fact that Messi has won the World Cup. That's the only thing. Ronaldo has the highest goals ever scored by a player. Great, true, beautiful, recorded goals. But I think the only thing that made Messi to be ahead is the World Cup. And if Ronaldo wins the World Cup, the next World Cup in a few months' time, we'll go back to this debate. What all that is missing for Ronaldo now is to win the World Cup. Once Ronaldo wins the World Cup, we go back to the debate. So what makes Messi seems to be ahead is the winning the World Cup. Now, some might suggest the World Cup. Let's be serious ourselves. The greatest football tournament in the world is the World Cup. We have the champions, we have the EPL. No football competition is as big as the World Cup. The World Cup is the biggest footballing tournament. And winning the World Cup is the dream of every single player. Every single player's dream is to win the World Cup. Now, not just win the World Cup, winning the World Cup, leading the team makes you stand out. So whatever you have achieved before now, winning the World Cup is now like a crown on it. And that is why we could maybe put a Messi ahead for now. If Ronaldo then wins the World Cup, then Ronaldo automatically now becomes the GOAT. So that will not change the whole conversation. So the World Cup is the biggest tournament, and any player that wins the World Cup automatically, I talk about winning the World Cup as a player changes everything for you. In your club, you take more roles after winning the World Cup. Endorsement deals will be bigger. Just win the World Cup. The World Cup is the biggest trophy in football. So when you win it, you've won every single thing that is big. So that's for me on that. So that is it. And if you have any other question, of course, all the questions in. Let's take them. While we're still talking. If you're just joining us, Richard Wade's YouTube channel. We have been on for a while, and we'll talk about several interesting things. Talk about the Champions League draws. Where we had the playoffs, we've spoken about that, and we have moved from that. Basically, we moved from that. We'll talk about the EPL, where we've analyzed what we should be expecting from this weekend, and whether we should talk about the La Liga. Maybe we'll take a break. We'll come back in some few minutes time, maybe in 10-15 minutes time, and this time around we'll then talk about the La Liga. What we're expecting in the La Liga. We'll analyze the 10 games of La Liga this weekend. What should we be expecting from these different clubs? Now, don't forget, you can also drop your questions while we get ready to visit the world of La Liga. All right, getting ready for the La Liga. We'll analyze the La Liga and what we should be expecting in La Liga this coming weekend. I just want to do some maybe some editing right here to make sure those joining us know that we're talking about La Liga also too. So very soon we'll bring to the La Liga, and we'll talk about what we should be expecting in the La Liga, because definitely La Liga will be a very interesting one. But join for the first time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe this weekend. All right, very important. We talk about the La Liga. La Liga is another very important league where we always have that great football. Although this video was basically meant to be for the EPL and the Champions League. I think we'll breeze into the La Liga. Let's see where we can analyze the La Liga also too. And or if we can't, we'll have on that video where we'll just focus on the La Liga. So if you're just joining in, we've spoken about the EPL, and let me just take a very fast what we talk about the EPL before I think I did the La Liga, very fast. And we spoke about Leeds Arsenal tomorrow. We spoke about seeing Arsenal winning Leeds tomorrow. Wolves Bournemouth. We believe that Wolves Bournemouth game Tiger Ruler say I'm a Man U fan. I'm not a Man U fan. Sorry, I'm putting a Man U jersey. We're talking about everything football. Job Isaac say he hi from London, UK. All right, bro. Millwall top, please. Take that Man U top off. All right. I don't have another shirt on. Should I pull off and without with anything? Come on, sports. Should I pull off? Should I pull it off? Should I pull it off? Should I pull it without nothing? What do you think? Should I take it off? Should I take this off? Tell me something. Tiger Willa, what should I do? Should I take it off? All right. Job Isaac, should I take this off? Should I take it off? Come on, get me a you could get me Job you can get me a Millwell jersey. What do you think? Get me a Millwell jersey. I promise you, I would have it all throughout my life. Would always have the Millwell jersey or the sports shirt on. Okay, if you want the sports shirt, tell me. I will get the sports shirt on. Don't forget to also drop a gift. Let's use that to get the jerseys. What do you think? So I'll take off the jersey. Won't take off the jersey. I don't have nothing yet. I'll have to take off the jersey. So we can that. So don't forget to subscribe. That I'm back. Jacob Isaac, I'm back. Sorry. Hit the like button. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob Isaac. I'm back. I had little network challenges, so I had to go off, but I'm back right now. Jacob Isaac, I hope you're following me. So sorry, network challenge just had me to go. And I'm back here. Put on sports jersey. Okay, I'll get it. Jacob Isaac, I'll get a sports jersey. I promise you that. Just for you. When we have a live stream on Monday, I should have a sports jersey on. Let's celebrate sports together. What do you think? But what do you think? Let's talk about sports playing against Man City. Now, Jacob, what do you think about that game? It's going to be a very tough game. We'll have them playing against themselves, and many will be expecting the sports team to beat Manchester City. Now, Jacob, what do you think? It will be a very tough match between these two teams. Your team, Tottenham, are not in great form right now. Tottenham are struggling to get it right. No, many will then believe that Tottenham needs to improve. Well, Tottenham playing against City. All right. Okay. You want a sports jersey? Millwell. No worries. Later. Don't like sports. Okay. What jersey are you? You want a Millwell jersey? Okay. No problem. No, I want a Millwell jersey. Anyone you get for me. If you get a Millwell jersey, I'm okay with it. You want a sports? No. Come on. Stay with me, Jacob. Stay with me, Jacob. I thought you said you wanted. I thought you said you support sports. Okay. Jacob, I get you now. You are a Millwell fan. I will get your jersey. Got angry and left. We'll get your jersey. We'll get your jersey for you. So we should get a jersey for you. Don't put sports top on. Your scum. Okay, I think it's Tiger who told us he's a Tottenham fan. All right. Still talking about the EPL. Jacob, do we still have you on the live? If we have you, let us know if we still have you there. Jacob, do we still have you live with us? If you're still with us, let us know. So let's talk about Millwell, and let's talk about what we're expecting from your team. If you're live with us, let us know. Jacob Isaac, are you still with me, or you have angrily left because of the jersey issue? Let's know whether you're still live with us. Let's know. Are you still there with us? Are you still there? If you're there, indicate, get a like button. Or Jacob, are you there? Okay, I think Jacob has left us. Jacob has left us, and would have spoken about a bit about Millwall and what we should be expecting from them. Millwall football will be playing against Sheffield United tomorrow, and the question would be if they could get it right. I think he has left. So we're talking about moving to the La Liga, and should we move to La Liga, or should we just remain here? Talk about a bit about the EPL, and let's take one or two questions. What do you think? Should we move to the La Liga? Those joining us with us live here, should we move to La Liga, or we should just stick with what we have right here? What do you think? Should we move to the La Liga? Let's get a response concerning that. Should we move to La Liga, or we should just stay with? If you're joining us, we've spoken about the Man U team. We've spoken about Man U and Fulham, what we should be expecting. We've spoken about the game between Tottenham and Manchester City, and how that game will be a must-win game already. It's a must-win game for Manchester City, because Man City will definitely have to beat Tottenham in that particular match. And it's been very, very interesting talking about all this different games. All right, don't forget to get the notification button. Of course, also drop that gift there when you also, of course, celebrating me, giving you all this big analysis. All right, we'll be back in some few minutes time, and this is when we come back, we'll future and talk basically on the La Liga. Yeah, we'll talk about La Liga and talk about some breaking news in the world of sports. When we come back, we'll analyze that, break the La Liga down, and talk about those big stories from the La Liga. It's interesting, but let's talk about some breaking stories before we go off from the live right now. Let's see what we can talk about, some big breaking stories. We had a draw already, it's out, and I think that's not a breaking story already. We have the draws out for the breaking stories. We lots of breaking stories. Real Madrid will look at Real Madrid will look at a midfielder this summer. Of course, Madrid going for a midfielder, and Real Madrid feeling they are weak in the midfield role, and definitely going for a midfielder this summer. This is one of those breaking news that's just coming in. It's been interesting to see how Madrid will definitely build on that. But going for a midfielder will be a very, very interesting one. Would like to see. And one of the greatest bites of Madrid over the years has been their midfield. Madrid have been so good in the midfield, and that has been one of those places that they have made them they have stood out because of their midfield. And we're hearing that yes, a midfielder is coming to Madrid this weekend. While in Barcelona, and Flick does not want any new signing. That's what he's saying. Flick says he's okay with his team. I think the Barcelona team are okay. I think they're okay. I think what do you need more? If a player like Rashford is doing very well for Barcelona, and so why would you believe that Barcelona need to get on that player? I think Barcelona, the Rashford is doing very well. He's playing very good football. So I basically would not think they would get on that player, because the players that are coming on loan are also doing well. Let's also tell you Fermin Lopez have signed a new contract with Barcelona today until June 2031. So great one for Lopez having that new deal. So let's see what happens. Flick, speaking about Doro, I've changed my mind. Of course, I'm disappointed, but this is football. Interesting one. And let's talk about the Europa League playoff, where we have Pok and Vigo will play against themselves, Lille will play against Rasta Belgrade, and Panathinaikos will play against Victoria Plains, Fenerbahce will play Nottingham Forest. We have Ludogorets to play against Ferencvaros. We have Celtic will go against Stuttgart. Domino Zagreb will go against Genk. White Brand will go against Bologna. And that is what we have there. Now, the French derby, I spoke about it in the Champions League, where Monaco will play against PSG. All right, that's all we'll have for now. Yes, let me get refreshed. We'll come back. We'll talk sports. Don't forget, subscribe. Don't forget, tomorrow would have that live from one of those viewing centers. After the game, we'll also analyze, yet analysis. If you get to subscribe. This is a big new package coming from me. Subscribe, get notification button so you will not miss anything. Once we are live, we are live, and we'll talk sports, we'll yak sports, we'll gist sports. My name is Richard Nwajeyi. I will see you later.